2022 draft. They have the 6th and 12th overall picks in the first round. We are less than an hour away from that round kicking off here at the Bell Center in Montreal as we welcome former first overall pick of the Columbus Blue Jackets and, by the way, former London Knight, Rick Nash, to the set. EJ knows, I never do I not include the London Knights thing. I have to say it every time. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And you always got to represent the London Knights every time. You have to.
The Forest City, you got to get it out there. Well, first of all, you're a very sharp-dressed man here.
Yeah.
You are ready for this occasion. Who are we wearing?
Yeah, well, this is funny enough. It's just you're Giovanni from Montreal. When I'm in Montreal, I have to wear Dom, and Dom has worked with me through my whole career, so it is what it is.
I can see why you stuck with him.
Did he work with you on draft night when you were the first overall pick?
No, funny enough, my agent Joe Resnick, I don't think I really owned a suit before that. Joe took me down in Toronto to a place, and we got a suit, and that was my first one ever. So
how was that? That is kind of crazy that you go in and you're going to have a big deal and you're buying the suit. What was that whole thing like?
You know what? It was a great experience, and it was in Toronto, obviously, my home city. But being here right now, I get flashbacks of sitting in the stands. I'm looking at these kids in their suits, and I'll never forget someone running up to me and saying, "You won't believe this, but Columbus just traded for the first pick overall." And I remember my interviews with Doug McLean, and how well it went. And at that time, it kind of hit home, and I'm having a kind of a weird deja vu feeling here.
Yeah.
I bet. What were those early conversations with Doug McLean like? Like, I'm trying to imagine Doug McLean then.
Yeah.
Interviewing a young Rick Nash. What was he like then?
Well, it's funny because at my jersey retirement this year, Doug came and spoke, and Doug's version of the story is totally different than mine. And he comes off that I told him, you better trade up to pick me.
Oh.
And I think you guys know me well enough over the years that you can't see me saying that. And I said, Doug, I would love to be in Columbus. I think it's the perfect fit for me, and hopefully it works out. And that's how it went with Doug.
I love watching this video. What comes to mind for you when you see this? So you're hugging your mom and just awesome.
You know what? The one thing, I curved the hat because I remember all my high school buddies were there and they said you have to curve the hat before you put it on. And I looked up to the rafters at the ACC at the time, and they were all my Brampton guys were up there cheering, and it truly brings back great mememories.
Well, if any of the prospects are watching, got to curve the brim of the hat. That's
old school. That's old school.
That's what the cool kids do. Let me ask you this: like, when the top prospects are seeing each other on a night like this, and they're crossing paths or what have you, what are they talking about amongst each other?
Yeah, you know what? It's kind of strange because for me it was kind of a similar feeling with myself and Jay Bomeister, and it was back and forth for a long time on who was going to go first. And Jay was a great player, and he played underage at the Worlds, and I think he was the true number one, obviously, until Columbus traded up. But it's kind of that same feeling this year. You don't know who's going to go first, and when these two kids see each other, I'm sure there's a little awkwardness, but at the same time, we're all in this kind of players union, and we want to make sure the kids go to a best fit.
Rick, the Columbus Blue Jackets have 2 picks in the first round, 6 and 12. How involved have you been now in your new role, involved with how things are going to play out tonight for the Jackets?
Yeah, it's been very interesting. I've been involved in all our amateur meetings, and me traveling around with player development. I go see our kids in the WHL, OHL, and in the Q. So when you're there, you kind of see who the draft eligible kids are, and you get to watch them. So you have some input, but we got to remember these scouts have seen these kids 30 plus times, so that's their job to pick that. But you're in the room and you have your viewings, and it's as we were talking about earlier, it's amazing how much goes in to these selections. You don't realize it as a player.
And you always think that you know how it's going to go, right? Like, we do the mock drafts, and we think, if Wright goes first, it'll probably go this way.
Yeah.
But there's always surprises. There's always things that happen that we don't expect. How many plans are there for a team like Columbus that has, I think it's 6 and 12? Like, is there a 1A, 1B, 1C? Like, how many different variations of plans do you guys have?
That's a great question, because we've been trying to figure it out. Yeah, that was a really good question. We've been trying to mock it out for a while now, and trying to figure out who's going to take who has the need for what type of player. It's impossible. There's always a surprise, I feel. So it's kind of playing the waiting game now. You know, we got to wait 5 picks till we figure out what avenue we're going to take. But I can promise you, we have every avenue kind of figured out, like you
it
said.
might look like a beautiful mind, you know, when he's got all the papers and chalk and whatever.
They got cars on every avenue. They're loaded.
Yeah.
But I will ask you this, because I always find it interesting when teams have 2 picks, particularly a 6 and a 12. Do you think that gives you guys a little freedom in terms of like taking a shot maybe with a second pick on somebody that you like the upside, maybe more than somebody that you think is going to be good, but you think this guy could be great? We're not sure, but we'll take a shot because we have a second first.
Yeah, I think it depends on you know, who obviously falls before you and who gets picked. And the second thing is you really want, I feel like you want your scouts to bang the table for some of these guys. You know, if they believe in them and they think it's worth you know, 6 overall pick or a 12 overall pick, then you have to put the trust in your fans. You know, just growing up and getting drafted by the Knights early on, by the Hunters, and running into them before we came in. You know, they took a chance on a 160-pound kid from Brampton. And, you know, I was a 4th round pick, or a 4th overall pick in the OHL, but it's exactly what you're saying. You need your scouts to be confident to take that chance.
I like that. You want your scouts to bang on the table for a guy. That's well said. And everything worked out for you from the London Knights onward. So congratulations again on all your success, the new role. And by the way, for always making time for our show. You've come on a handful of times. Since
anytime. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
And enjoy the night, even though I know it's a little weird for you, I'm sure.
Thank you.
All right, let's check in with Jameson Coyle. He is standing by with